that, we're going to take a look at the big stories that are making the headlines this morning.
To do that, we've got Afua Adom and Nick Ferrari. And Nick's just getting ready now. He's just sitting down.
Just come off air, I think. He's been with Rishi Sunak.
In a second, yeah. And that's where we're actually going to start, because Nick has had the Chancellor on his programme on LBC this morning. And there's been a massive promise of 30 billion package of measures on top of everything else. He's obviously there's the stamp duty which was announced, and that's going to help everyone buying a house. Bonuses for workers under the Chancellor's plan to kickstart the economy. Discounted food, all of those sort of things. So, Afua, where's the money coming from?
It seems that they've shaken down the magic money tree again in the back garden of Downing Street that grew during Theresa May's reign. Look, it just seems that the country's coffers have been absolutely depleted in this time. But what we must remember is that we are in completely unusual times. And something that Rishi Sunak said yesterday really stuck with me. He said that the past growth that we have achieved in 18 years has been wiped out in the past 2 months. So that really gives you an indication of the state of the economy and really how bad things are. It's almost like being in a post-war Britain, if you like. And this is what the Chancellor has to do to kickstart growth and kickstart the country. But yes, it seems he has shaken down the magic money tree.
OK, well, Nick, you've just come off air. You've just been speaking to Rishi there. What were the headlines then? I imagine you put all the important questions to him. What stood out for you?
What stands out for me is that this is probably the most unconservative, with a capital C, budget or financial statement that you will see from a Conservative Chancellor. But he really doesn't have anywhere else to go. I heard quite rightly the figures that we're quoting. The amount of GDP that is lost is truly staggering. In the past, Holly, you and I, and to give listeners, I think it's all about context, isn't it? We were £300 billion in debt. That's enough to run the health service for 2 years. Strike that figure, viewers. It's now £350 billion. But really, he had no alternatives. The furlough scheme hopefully will mean that other workers will be kept on. £2 billion to try and get young people in work. A very exciting initiative so people can go out. And there is such a thing as at least half a free lunch, it would see from the Chancellor. So his message is positive, but he is aware. Two things. Firstly, although the reason we can do it is that we are borrowing money, or the country is borrowing money at unheralded low rates. It's never been cheaper. That is a positive, but it does have to be paid back. The one thing I would put out there, without troubling anybody too much, if there is a second wave, that's the one thing this government, no government, can control. So you can turn on the spending taps. I don't think he's had an alternative. One thing he cannot control is whether the virus comes back. And if that comes back in the autumn, I sense, even with this amount of spending, they're going to be in trouble. And
so how do you get that back?
How do you pay that back? You get the country back to work. You ensure, and you try and ensure that the worst forecasts, Phil, are 3 million people unemployed. You go back to the dark days of the late 1970s. Many of your viewers weren't even born in those times. And it took years to get out of that. You get the country back at work. How do you get the country back at work? Well, in part, you get the children back into schools so mum and dad can go back to work if they want to. And that is the other big issue. Admittedly, we're now coming to the end of the school year. We are looking at September, and a real change in tone by both the Chancellor and by the Prime Minister. You have to send your children back to school, unless they are sick or ill or they have pre-existing conditions. If not, you will face a fine. Boris Johnson, Rishi Sunak, both saying that this week. They know the importance of that.
This is the balancing act, isn't it, between everybody's safety and the economy. And this is the balancing act that we've had right from the word go.
And it's exactly the balancing act that the Chancellor was talking to me about now, because there's a lot of pressure as regards gyms, gymnasiums. Not a regular goer, as you can possibly tell, Phillip, but a lot of people are. And sadly, research shows that people have put on around about £7 to £8, half a stone. I don't know what that is in kilos. That's the average. And now Boris Johnson reportedly announcing either today or tomorrow, because it's great we can all go and have discounted meals and we can get fast food, but we're all going to get bigger, and we'll also, so we really need to work out to help out as well as eat out to help out.
So if there's a consideration to open gyms, so you can't go to the theatre, and you can't sing at a wedding because that's quite loud, and you may, have the aerosol issue. But in a gym, you are running, you're panting, you're on a running machine, you're sweating, yet you can't open nail bars. How does this work?
When I challenged Boris Johnson about this on Friday, and indeed the Chancellor, they make the fair point. There are anomalies along the way. You can go to a hotel, you can't go to the theatre. I mean, this is a really weird one. You can have a driving lesson, but a father can't walk his daughter down the aisle. Unless they happen to live it, unless they're in the same... But really strange ones. They will always point to the science, Phil. They will always say that they have to take the scientific advice. And again, they have to go in stages. But if you look at something as crucial as the hospitality sector, which employs around 1.82 million people, that's why the money has been sent in that area. But it has to continue to go like that, because right at the heart of it, Britain has to get working again because we are so much in debt.
Afua, let's talk about a different story now. And this is BIANCA Williams, who is the British sprinter. She's received an apology from the Met Police after she and her partner were pulled over in their car and handcuffed in a stop and search on Saturday. There is footage of this. It's extraordinary and distressing, actually. Have we got... Well, let's just take a look. Here it is.
For what?
Why are you touching me? My son is in the car. My son is in the car. I don't want you to look after him. My son is in the car. No. Get off me.
I mean, I think if I was in the car and my 3-month-old child was strapped in the back and somebody took me out and handcuffed me, I would be equally as distressed. They said that they stopped her because she was on the wrong side of the road and that the driver had sped off when being asked to stop, something that Bianca denies. Cressida Dick, the Commissioner of the Met, has said that the senior officer representing the force has apologised to Williams for the distress. And I guess this is the question, isn't it? Should the police have to apologise when they get it wrong? Would that make a difference, Afua?
I think it's a start. I think they definitely should apologise when they get things like this wrong. Like you said, they said that they sped off down the street, but Bianca said that's not what happened. And also, she and her partner have been stopped a number of times before. And I think if the police get something wrong, then most definitely they should apologise They should be able to take responsibility where they have done something wrong. Does it make up for all the times that they have been stopped in the past? No. Does it make up for all the other times that people have been stopped while being black, while driving an expensive car? No. But I think it at least is a start. Most definitely they should apologise for this.
But this does continue to happen, and every time it does, there are massive headlines, and we talk about it. It's all over the papers, Afua. So would you not think that after what we've all been through with Black Lives Matters and the fact that I say we've been through, what the black community have been through, is that we were always going to say, right, we learn from this now, we have to be better, we have to understand, we have to educate ourselves. But if this happens, then once again, they know it's going to be front page.
Oh, absolutely. And the problem is that this kind of racism is so institutionalized that it's normalized. So it's normal for the police to see a black man as an aggressor. It's normal for the police to see a black man driving an expensive car and assume that it's a product of crime or crime is happening. That has been so normalized that these type of stop and searches will continue. I know so many friends with teenage sons who feel that they cannot go down to the shop because they're being asked for their ID consistently just when they're walking down the street, because they are being stopped, because they are being searched when they're just going to their local supermarket to buy something for their mum. It's institutionalized and it's normalized. It's systemic. And unless the police actually stand back and take a look at themselves and take a look at the reasons why they stop certain groups of people more often than others, then we will always have these headlines. I'm not saying you can never stop and search people. If you have proper cause, then that's a different thing.
But the problem is,
there isn't proper cause.
Is not the problem partly this? The statement on Sunday evening, the Met said that Mercedes was stopped after it was seen driving suspiciously, including being on the wrong side of the road. Subsequently, the Met reviewed the footage of the incident taken from multiple cameras, but said no misconduct was taken place. So, Nick, did the police lie, in which case, in that first statement?
Only the police officers will know that. I'm just a little bit nervous to say that the police officers involved in that stop, you said, were racist. I mean, I don't think we can convict them of that. Were they clumsy? Yes. Was it inappropriate? Yes. Did they behave in full upkeep of their professional standards? Clearly they did not. And that is why it's useful to see the video that BIANCA has had. What is extraordinary is, and you won't often see this, and this is something that your viewers want to probably make a note of. If we stay with the motoring metaphor, the smoke coming out from the wheels of the car, of the U-turn that the Met Police Commissioner, the most senior officer in the land, made, Dame Cressida Dick, in that apology, shows how seriously the police are taking it. There is absolutely a lot to be learnt, but I'm a little nervous to say that the officers behaved in the way because he said they are racist. They were inappropriate, they didn't behave properly, but I don't know that it was motivated by racism. But that is very much the conversation we're having, which is a positive because of Black Lives Matter, but I don't know we should automatically see, white officer, black motorist or black passenger car, this has to be racist. We have to be careful of that line at times.
Final word on that, Afua?
I think if you're in the black community and you have been through this, as so many of us have, we know what's going on here. I think continuing to gaslight the black community by telling us things are not racist is absolutely not the way forward.
I'm just saying those individual officers. All I'm saying is those that just have spare a thought, that they haven't performed their duties well. It's a little unfair to assume that they are racist. We don't know what's going inside their heads. That's all. That's the only point I'm trying to make, guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you
All
both
right.
very much
Thank you
indeed.
both.